And welcome to Sisters on God podcast. Hello, 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 everyone. Sorry, we're a little late tonight. Was having some technical difficulties, but we here. We made it. I am the cat's meow and
Authentic.
authentic. See, there I go. I put my hands down. So tonight's episode, we're going to talk about wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm going to play an audio from a lady named Angela. That's her name on TikTok. That's where I saw the video at. Well, actually, Authentic Sisters shared it to me about this. Angela is talking about her mom and the dedication that her mom gave to the church, and just this is just the beginning of one of the types of wolves in sheep's clothing. So if I can, without delay, I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys.
I would watch my mom give her last to the church. If the pastor got up there and said, we need everybody to give $20 more so we can meet this whatever for the month, she would give her last $20. Be faithful. Be faithful. Be fruitful, and it'll multiply for you. And I watched my mom have blind faith in that way. But you know what never happened? It was never reciprocated in the way that the church promised her. She was dedicated. She stepped out on faith all the time, right? She gave it to God. She prayed. She did everything. And it was never reciprocated in the way that the church promised her, right? It was never, because that's not how God works. It's not an exchange like that. And that is how the church postures God. That is how you position God. If you act a certain way, if you give, if you do this, you surely will be blessed.
Okay, can you hit that screen for me, Sissy? Thank you. So this video is pretty interesting. It really not so much what she was saying, more than the comments that was in that video was what struck a chord with me, and how so many people had chimed in on what she was talking about with the wolf in sheep's clothing in the church, and the what do they call them, they want your tithes. What is that? I just lost that word. The prophetical, no, not prophetical, pastor. The pastor that preaches prosperity, the prosperity preacher. That's the word I was looking for. And there's a lot of prosperity preachers out there now because church has become a business. It's not about taking care of the community, which is what it was supposed to be. And so you've got all these angry Christians who are, um, they've lost hope. They've lost their faith in God because all of their trust was put in man. And that was just one of the first ways that I wanted to give an example of the wolves and sheep's clothing. I know, Authentic Sister, that you had made a comment about it in the video about what a lot of the, it wasn't just women, it was people, it was male and females that was in on that video talking about how they watched their grandma and their mothers in the church giving of their whole entire life and body and soul and mind, which is what we are supposed to do for God. But the pastor, who is supposed to be the head of the congregation, has taken all of their faith and all of their hope and taken advantage of it and absorbed it all into himself and what he could gain and what he can have, leaving a bunch of people hopeless and faithless in what God really is. And mind you, me and my sissy tried to not really talk about conversations that will cause an uproar and a dissension, because that's not what we're about. We're about trying to bring everybody together and educate and help and just show love, because that's what we have to offer is love. um but it struck a chord with me deep down. It resonated inside of me, all the lost sheep out there in the world. And it's not just in the church, it's in your home, where you've taken on your mate who portrayed themselves to be one way to you. And shortly after a while, you find out, this is not what I signed up for. You didn't show your colors to me when you should have. You waited to uh to show your colors. There's plenty of monster stories out there where mostly women. I know that there are a lot of men that are in domestic cases now, but most women can attest to that monster who was appeared to be a Prince Charming, appeared to be everything that you wanted and hoped and dreamed for, and then all of a sudden they take their mask off, and here we are. So um I don't know how. I know this is touchy. I know it is, but we're not going to run away from what's going on out there in the world. Or let's discuss it. What do you feel about how, um, I don't know if you experienced it. I know I watched my mom and I watched my aunt. We were in a mega church, and there were the set ways that you had to abide in a certain way and do a certain thing, and tithing 10% of your earnings was one of the things that you was beat over the head with the Bible about. It was about the 10% tithing, which was Old Testament and isn't even applicable to us. It was for the 12 tribes of Israel. It was their gift that God had put on them, that they would tithe 10%. And it wasn't money, because they didn't have money back then. They had what? Wheat, barley. They had stones of beryl and sapphire and rubies and stuff, but it wasn't a cash currency thing like what we have in the churches now. And so um it was definitely beat into my head that you're supposed to tithe 10% of your earnings, and if you don't, then God's not going to bless you, because you're robbing from the church, because that's how they get you. Will a man rob God? How are we going to rob God when everything is his anyway?
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing that we can give to God. And I believe that if you the tithing has to be in a church that is building the storehouse up for the people,
Mm-hmm.
not for the pastor and his comfort. Not to buy him a helicopter or a Rolls Royce, or that's not what God said at all.
Mm-hmm.
And reading those comments, I guess I should have took a few of them, just so you guys could see what
What
people.
people felt.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I could pull it up on my phone, but everybody knows. So everyone
Well, why you pull it up? Let me. Mm.
okay.
Okay. I remember my husband told me, because he was brought up in the church. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, church religion.
Right, religion.
And so was I, but I was a different kind of person from the day I was born. So it's one of the reasons why the topic, I kind of didn't know how to embrace it, because I actually did not live that, meaning I had no parent that did that. My
Mhm.
parents sent me to church. They really didn't go there. She didn't go there. You might go Christmas morning. Now she's
Oh,
heavily
right,
in it,
right.
or
Holiday Christmas.
Easter, But what she did was she sent me religiously,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Um, in one particular denomination, the closest church to your house, right? So
Right.
whatever denomination, that's the church you're in.
Yep, yeah.
Um, but I'm gonna say the part I remember my husband spoke of. His mom would be sending her money to, the mega church, the ones that come over the TV and tell you to send it in the mail, them ones that,
Yeah.
and he got angry at her at one point because she was like almost finishing her bank account to send to these people who were brainwashing her into, and then the fear of God. Remember, like I said, they were in the church like that.
Right.
And then when she came here, then here, even if you were working too hard to get to church, you felt
They
compelled
that
to
church bus will come and get
dial
you.
it in and send in, you know what I mean? And then
Yep.
it's like the request is almost shameful. Even if you could come as you are or
Mhm.
give as you can, you will go above and beyond to impress. And it's not a impressing like, it's that guilt on you. Like
It
you
was a
can't send that
guilt.
meager amount,
Absolutely.
even though that's what you have, can't send that because it seemed to be like it would be shameful,
Right.
right?
Right.
And then I also remembered, so these are all outside events. So I remember when he got angry at her and he took away that check from her and he ripped it up because he was extremely mad that that's what she was doing because he felt like she was working so hard. Nobody was sending her anything and they were robbing her,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because she did this
Now, now isn't that the man that
religiously,
robbed God? Not the
right?
people in the church?
Right. So, and then I remember when I was living in Queens, I remember this lady who religiously went to church also, and she was losing her house. And you would think the church had the right to, after her devotedly doing her tithing and offering, and even when she didn't have it, and she almost got homeless because of
Yes.
that.
That's some of the stories that they
Yeah,
were
they,
telling
they,
in this
they didn't
video.
help. Right. So, and then, so that was that. And there's another one, but it just slipped my mind, right? So
Mhm.
now from an early age, I identified a lot of things. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I
Sorry, I'm
I
just being silly now.
I was almost a rebel to things because I would see again being an overthinker.
Mhm.
I would see and things just didn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? It didn't.
There, I did it again.
And I
I'm
remember with my pastor, he knew me well because I was like the rebel. I was even called Paul.
Oh, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul.
Um,
We all have an identity to relate to one of the
when
apostles
the
and disciples.
apostles, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the thing is, for me, I couldn't understand the tithing thing, and no matter how much you told me, hearing you explain it, I didn't even know that much.
Because
I really
all
didn't.
really that was molded into you was that you needed to give to the pastor.
That's all we know. Yeah.
Right.
And then
You
I
didn't
didn't see
need
my
to know
parents
why.
doing it. And I didn't see my parents doing it. So I was not in the habit of doing it because I didn't
Mhm,
see them doing it.
mhm.
I
Yeah.
heard of it, but because it made no sense, I didn't play no mind. It didn't make any difference to me. I gave the little offering because one thing they did do was give it an offering to put in the basket. And
Mhm.
I did that.
Oh yeah.
But
Because we had to teach our kids, so you would give your kids the
there
money
you
and
go.
have them go up there
The
so they
blessing.
learned about tithing.
I just looked at it as my blessing. I guess I was paying it forward. I don't know. I they gave it to me. I put it in there. Period. I didn't think no further.
Mm-hmm.
I know every Sunday I was at church. Every Sunday. You know. Don't know
Yeah.
if it's because your parents just want you out the house. I didn't know if that was the reason.
Right.
We were sent to, and then I did like to dress up in my spike heel shoes, my high
I
heel shoes
I
and stuff.
did
So I
enjoy
was going.
that. Yes.
I went under all the other L's. It's just what it was.
Right.
The funny thing though, when I started to realize I was getting older and I understood to me what tithing should be was when now I went to a Catholic school.
Oh yeah.
Then it shifted because
Mm-hmm.
this wasn't about money, this was service.
That's right.
And that's what I fell in love with,
Yep.
service. I know you went blackout.
It's one of those nights.
And sissy, that's what made sense to me.
The service to
The
God.
service.
Because
Because,
that's what we have to offer God is our service, who we are.
and what also was, it was more of a reflection of what the stories I heard in the Bible was about what Jesus did. So that made sense to me.
Yes, I did keep my kids in church all the time.
Yeah, yeah. And it's for a good thing because something went in, believe it or not, the more you go, something, this is the power of God.
Yes.
Something is going to be in there.
Yes. That's right.
It stems the reason why, sissy, I am who I am. It was that exposure that
That's
caused me
right.
to be that way.
That's right. Yes.
I'm not no Uber this and Uber that and all this other craziness, which to me, that's not what that is either.
Right.
Not because you say his name mean you mean his name. It don't mean you mean his name.
Yep.
But
I
what I do know is it is the meaning of his power. So because of it, I told you I ministered. I fed the poor. I did those things because that's what made
that
sense to my
is
mind.
the tithing, your service.
And that's I gave me.
That's
I
right.
had no money anyway.
Right. Most of
But
us down
and
here
then
don't.
when I got older now, when I started to go to another denomination church, and they were about that. But me and my pastor, we saw eye to eye because he already figured who I am. Because
Mm-hmm.
I believe if you're gonna do something for the poor, not only Christmas time we're giving them some old coat. I
Woo,
could,
boy.
like I just did not get that.
That's the only time people have a heart. The rest of the year,
Nothing. And
they're
and and and
demons.
see, and that's why when you said the topic, I already know how I am with this topic, and I know I'd be the first one they're gonna burn at the stake because there's some things that just do not, it cannot make sense to me.
You're gonna burn both of us at the stake. What you talking about?
It's like the more they get, the more they want, and then there is no empathy or sympathy for anyone else but themselves, and then they go and taught these things, and it would burn my mind when I hear it. That's why I didn't want the topic, because I know how I feel about it.
But it's okay because this is to show people that they are not the only ones who are in this position
Right, Kate?
with the church and with that daggone wolf in sheep's clothing.
He had the best car, and and
Yes.
and not half y'all couldn't even afford the gas to go. Make that make sense to me, because it never made sense to me.
No.
Never did.
No.
And I always rebelled about it. That's the part why my friend would call me Paul. Because it just didn't make sense. And no
Yeah.
matter how much people spoke of Catholic, because of course the Sisters of Mercy, it's not a competition of denomination. I
It's not
saw
even
the
about
work and I
denomination.
understood it. So it didn't matter who was doing it, it made sense to me.
Right.
Help people who need help. It's
How
not just
how
you just
you
for
can go
yourself.
into a mega church with all their bling and
So it
beautiful.
seems like you got to even dress up pretty. You couldn't
You
even
got
come
you.
as you are.
Wait
You better
a
dress
minute.
up.
There are
Um,
churches in Detroit that if your credit score ain't a certain
that
way, you can't
you
even
can't.
go to
No,
their
that I
church.
heard. I
Hold on,
sure
you
did.
mean I gotta
Hmm.
have a credit score now
Hmm.
to get to God? What?
Girl.
And you know
And
when the
when religious
ATM
people,
showed up in the church, you know.
yeah, when religious people try to, and I say religion,
Because that's what it is.
when you don't, and they quoting this and just taking the Bible and the blah, 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 that's what
That's
I feel
right.
like.
Yep.
Like
And they
you're not
writing it on
gonna.
the dresses.
One thing I ask God for is understanding, because I need to understand. I am not a sheep to be led to no
Thank
slaughter.
you. I ain't going
No,
to no
I'm not.
slaughter.
I
No.
am not.
No, ma'am. Mm-mm.
You chose the wrong one.
So I was at a church where I did audio video production for them, and it was majority the other color. We'll just say that. I guess I'm used to being on TikTok and having to filter my words. um this was my last ex-husband. We hadn't been married yet, and of course, because I'm in the church and I'm trying to be a part of the church and do like the church says, I tell him he's got to come to church too. And so one day the pastor's wife pulls me to the side and says, you guys can't be living together. The God said that he's coming for the unblemished, not for the blemish. He's coming for the unblemished church. And I was like, I looked at her and I said it. I said, you think this church is unblemished? You think
He without
Halloween
sin.
and
He without
celebrating an
sin.
evil holiday where these witches is out in the woods burning and sacrificing women and babies, and you think getting candy and dressing up in costumes in the church when it's clearly a pagan holiday, lady? Don't tell me, because guess what? He ain't coming for your church either. And I was done with it after that. Don't tell me about no blemished church and I'm blemished. Y'all the ringleaders of blemish.
Well, I know when I was supposed to be married. No, I wasn't not married. That was another story. When I was to be baptized because I had the calling. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a real thing.
Yes.
It is. And
Yes.
it's one that you can't unhear.
That's
When
right.
your name is called,
That's right.
might as well answer.
That's
Because
right.
yeah, it is a feeling like nothing else.
That yes,
It is like nothing
inside
else.
your soul that that's
See, it's like
something
nothing else.
that
And
is that you have not experienced in your
yep.
flesh.
For the main reason no one can tell me there's no God or there is no greater than us, because I have felt it. I have heard him. It's a thing.
He
And
is real.
he
He is real, y'all.
this particular denomination, they don't believe in divorce. Well, I was divorced.
Oh.
And I remember, and I don't like talking about this. It still makes me cry. It bothered me so bad to have man make me feel rejected
And
by my father.
it would
How
seem to me
dare
that God was
you
rejecting you.
do that to me?
Yes. Yeah.
You know I was called. I know it because I couldn't run from it.
Right.
Whether it was this church or another church, the fact of the matter was I was called.
That's right.
And then everything was glorious, because again, they looked at the outer extremity of who I am also, which to me was dumb.
You're supposed to be looking on the inside.
I looked it like I got money. I was broke coming there. And everything was great. I had the talk, which I wasn't even trying to do. I taught like that regular. I've been
Mhm.
going to church all my life.
Mhm.
There is nothing about the conversation with God that, apart from the fact that I don't know the Bible, my memory don't hold that. But you can't fool me with it, though.
Right.
You can't. I know enough and I understood enough.
You know, you and I have talked about scriptures several times, and we both have said, I don't know where it's at. I can't give you. They call it an address. I
Yeah.
can't give you the address, but I know
Mhm.
what it says.
Mhm.
Tell you what it says. I may not be able to tell you where it's at,
Mhm.
but I know what I know. What I know.
Whatever applied, I got it. Put it
Yep.
like that. I
That's
understand
right.
that assignment, child. You
Yep.
can't. Yeah. So and then everything got to the point where it's like, okay, so then somehow it came up that I was divorced instantly. Oh no. Well, we can't baptize you. And I looked at him like, are you kidding? Well, yeah, we can baptize you. As if it was, no,
Because you were
we
already
can
married,
do
because
this
you were
favor for
previously
you.
married, you couldn't get baptized?
Yeah, no, because I was a divorcee.
Right. So
So we can,
God
but
said,
them
"No,
can just do me
not
the favor. They could just do me the favor to dip me in the water.
you."
That's what that's what he was saying.
Right.
But I can't be a member of the church. Now in my mind, everything felt weird. Like I'm like, so I looked at him and I said to him, so you're telling me I am called by God, and this took
Right.
place in your church,
Right.
and because I guess it's a sin that I did, God don't want me no more. Because that's what it felt like.
That's what he came for, was the sinners, not the saved. He
So
came to heal the
and
sick.
I said it like that because instantly when he said it, I felt like God opened the door and shut that infant in my face. And I knew that's not that God.
That's not.
So you're doing this to me.
Yes.
And I said, and I looked dead at him, and he couldn't even answer me properly because when I hit him, I looked at him and I said, so of all the sins, this the one he ain't gonna bother with. No, for real. This the
You
one.
said all the sins.
Of all them. I ain't said I unalived anyone. No, I got divorced.
God don't
I
want me
did not choose the man that I divorced by asking God about him. So I realized he wasn't good for me and I had to leave. So I should have sacrificed my life so I can be a part of your church.
now. Right. Right.
Well, we can't. I said, you know something? This is the end of the conversation. I ain't got nothing more to say. Because now I was getting angry. Well, you know, no, don't say.
And how discouraging is that? What you hearing? Oh.
What the hell?
Uh-oh. Well, of course this is gonna happen. We are live. We do have lives. um so while she's doing that, I'll go ahead and read one of the comments that really got me from off of that church. I was in the middle of something else, but that's okay. There was a seed planted. Okay, yep. All right. So this one person left a comment saying that she said, my mother gave away our rent money to a pastor. We got evicted the next month and were homeless for the following 2 years. Needless to say, I am no contact. Oh, she has no contact and has no relationship with her mother. Which, when I read that, that's so sad. because not only has their faith been stripped away, but the relationship got damaged in the process. I know this mom only did what she had been taught to do by the church. um I don't know. We'll find out in a minute. um I've never heard of a situation being so bad when a person is trying to follow God and do what God requires them to do, until this video. And it was just stories after stories of uh this. Let's see, can I mute her real quick? I can mute her, I just gotta figure it out. This has been one night for my social media, man. There we go. Okay, now she's muted. Whew. This was the next comment. The trauma that religion impresses upon us is so wrong. I'm sorry that you went through that. You didn't deserve that. I have had my own issues with it as well. It's scary. Someone else said, I'm sorry you had to go through that. My grandmother is just about the same way. I think she only had a roof over her head because my grandfather had a disability. This is the comment that really, I was like, yes, that now you get it. This next person said, my relationship with God is with God. Never needed a church. Now, with that, we are supposed to be able to come together as children of God, because we're supposed to commune with each other and have relationships with each other who we are supposed to be like. We are supposed to gather together and hear and learn God. And that's not what's happened with the churches. It's so broke down, and the people are broke down. And what a terrible thing for this to be going on in the church and with God's people, especially when we're at a point in time that we're at right now with our lives and what's going on in the world. In the world. Um, yes, it is. It is unfortunate for the both of them. Um, you know, God's supposed to be calling his people from all four corners of the world. And if they're lost and they're discouraged and they've lost hope in who our God truly is, and then you got to put into the equation of the wolves and sheep's clothing, who started all of the lies in the first place, who implemented the Bible and changed words in the Bible and changed names in the Bible and made it according to how they wanted it to be. So I was talking with somebody um about the slaves back in the slave times, where they were only taught the scriptures that was applicable to making sure that they kept them under control, which was do everything as you do unto God, and slaves, be obedient to your masters. But they never told them that the scripture also said, masters, be good to your slaves, because you got to answer to God as well. And this whole thing, when Sissy had sent me this video, I was just like, you know what, we need to talk about this. We need to us who are true believers of that there is a higher power, that there is something that exists that's more powerful than us. There's something that stops the waters dead smack in the middle of where they stop. And you got to think about the fact that this world is majority water. It is majority water. What stops those waters? And hey, we're looking at storms and stuff and all these floods and everything that's going on. Uh, hmm. So I think that God's people need to be reintroduced to God and not religion. Religion has been the downfall for everything. So, wow, I didn't even know that we had gone past our time. It's 9:40, and there's probably something really going on with Authentic Sister at home, and so I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast so I can go and check on her. This might be a part two that we might continue this on another podcast. So yeah, that's just how this one's going to go for tonight. It's not easy starting your own podcast up, and especially when you're miles away from each other and trying to just get all of this to work out. This is all in God's time, and we just want to do God's work and be a positive role model, a positive influence. We just want to be love and compassion and everything, all of the attributes that God is. That is what me and Authentic Sister are trying to do with this podcast. So we thank everyone for tuning in. We appreciate. Thank you to my daughters who have been here in the comment section. You made my night. Well, thank you so much. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this on up. And hey, you guys, tune in next week, 9 p.m., where I'm sure we'll have another good topic to talk about. And come on back. Thank you. I'll let you know if it's anything going on that's bad. I'll let you know. Okay. All right, everyone. You all take care. Be blessed. Don't forget, if you know somebody who needs some soft selling done, think about us. You can email us at Sisters on God. We'd be more than happy to do some soft sell for your business. If you know someone who has a topic or you have something that you might want us to discuss here on the podcast, hit us up in our email, Sisters on God. And we love you. So everyone take care. And I know that we're all having a heat wave. So you all stay hydrated and try to stay cool. And we'll see you all on the next show. Take care, everyone.